ready to crack the code of self-motivation. We've got a whole stack of articles here about getting fired up and staying on track, actually reaching those goals you set. And I gotta say, some of this stuff is seriously cool. We're diving deep into the science behind it all.
Really fascinating stuff. You know, we often talk about motivation like it's this magical thing, but there's a surprising amount of research that breaks down exactly how it works.
Right, like this Coursera article we're using as a guide today, packs with all these evidence-based tips.
That's a good one.
Okay, so to kick things off, this article talks about something super basic, like using a calendar. But it's not just about jotting down appointments. It's like the psychology behind it, making that visual commitment.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right?
Totally.
So when you put a goal on the calendar, you're not just making a note, you're actually creating a deadline. And studies show that having that visual target actually changes how our brains perceive the task. Sometimes a shorter deadline can actually feel easier psychologically.
Wait, hold on. Shorter deadlines feeling easier. That goes against everything I know about procrastination.
I know, right?
It's so counterintuitive.
It seems totally counterintuitive, but when we frame a task with a shorter time frame, it can feel less daunting, less overwhelming to our brains. Think about that burst of energy you get right before a project is due.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what we're tapping into.
So it's like tricking your brain into focusing on the task at hand instead of getting all bogged down by how big the goal is.
Exactly.
Okay, so instead of the whole staircase, you're just thinking about the next step.
Yeah. It's all about harnessing that psychological effect to our advantage.
Love it. So what's the next step in hacking our motivation?
Let's talk about habits. We often think of motivation as this up and down energy level.
Yeah.
But what if we could make goal-oriented actions more automatic?
Almost like brushing your teeth or something.
Yes, exactly. Like brushing your teeth.
Ooh, I like where this is going. Tell me more.
Okay, so the Coursera article talks about the if-then planning technique.
Okay.
And it's all about linking the desired action to an existing daily habit. For example, if I pour my first cup of coffee, then I will spend 5 minutes working on that presentation.
Got it.
Great.
Instead of relying on willpower, you're basically piggybacking on an action you already do consistently.
Yeah. And they emphasize starting small. It doesn't need to be a huge chunk of work right away. Even just putting on your workout clothes can prime your mind for a full workout. It's, small steps lead to big changes.
Small steps. I like that. It's all about lowering that initial resistance, right? To even just get going.
Exactly. And speaking of preparation, the next point in the article is all about embracing imperfection. We all know life happens. Things don't always go as planned.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm the queen of getting derailed by unexpected curveballs.
Right. Well, this is where the WOOP method comes in. It stands for Wish Outcome Obstacle Plan. And it's a way to kind of anticipate and prepare for those setbacks. So you start by identifying your wish, your goal.
Got it.
Then you envision the outcome, the positive results of achieving it.
Okay.
But then you deliberately think about potential obstacles that might stand in your way.
So instead of just hoping everything goes smoothly, you're actually planning for things to go wrong.
Exactly. And the final step is creating a plan for how you'll overcome each obstacle. That way, when something unexpected happens, you don't lose momentum. You've already got a strategy in place.
Whoa, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
It's like having a backup generator for your motivation. Okay, I'm curious. What comes next?
Well, since we're talking about maintaining momentum, let's dive into the power of small wins.
Oh, yeah.
The article does a fantastic job of highlighting this concept.
Yes. It's like that saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Exactly. They explain that there's this fascinating link between small successes and building momentum. Each win, no matter how small, reinforces positive behavior and makes that, larger goal feel more achievable.
It's almost like you're proving to yourself that you can do it one step at a time.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned procrastination earlier, and there's this interesting thing called the fresh start effect that they talk about.
Okay.
It happens at the beginning of a week, month, or year. It's like our brains are naturally primed for new beginnings at those points. Like we're more motivated to make changes.
You know what? I think that's why so many people make New Year's resolutions. It's that fresh start.
Yeah, exactly. We feel like we have a clean slate, a chance to start fresh. So the key is to leverage that feeling and set realistic goals that we can actually stick with.
And celebrate those victories along the way. Speaking of celebrations, the next point is all about rewards.
Oh, yes, rewards.
I'm all ears?
Rewards aren't just about treating yourself. They actually play a key role in rewiring our brains for success.
Really? Okay, so how does that work exactly?
So, when we reward ourselves, especially for achieving those smaller goals, we activate the reward centers in our brain.
Uh-huh.
And this releases dopamine, which is linked to feelings of pleasure and motivation. Essentially, our brain is saying, hey, that felt good. Let's do that again.
So we're basically training our brains to crave those positive actions, like by rewarding ourselves.
Exactly. And the best part is, rewards don't have to be big or expensive. The article actually lists some fun, low-cost ideas like taking a walk in nature, listening to a favorite podcast, or even just savoring a cup of tea.
Small rewards, big impact.
Oh,
Okay, now I'm curious about the next point. The power of the pack.
yeah.
It seems like we've been focusing on like individual motivation so far.
Yeah. We have, but we can't forget that we're not alone in this journey. The people around us, our social connections, they can play a huge role in our motivation as well.
Yeah, it's like that feeling of being more likely to stick to a workout routine if you have a gym buddy. You know what I mean?
That's a great example. Studies show that feeling part of a team, even when working individually, can boost our perseverance and make us more likely to stick with challenging tasks.
So surrounding yourself with supportive people, whether it's like a study group, a running club, or even just a few friends who cheer you on, that can make a big difference.
Absolutely. It's about creating an environment that fosters positive peer pressure and mutual encouragement. Speaking of positive vibes, have you ever thought about the connection between gratitude and self-improvement?
I usually think of gratitude as something you practice for like overall well-being, not necessarily for, achieving goals.
Right, that's a common misconception. But research has shown that gratitude isn't just about feeling thankful. It can actually fuel our desire to improve ourselves and strengthen those social connections we were just talking about.
Really? Wow. Okay. How does that work?
So when we practice gratitude, we're focusing on the positive aspects of our lives, the things we appreciate. And this shift in perspective can make us, feel more motivated to make positive changes and become even better versions of ourselves.
Oh, so it's like recognizing all the good things you already have gives you the energy to strive for even more.
Precisely. And there are so many simple ways to cultivate gratitude. Keeping a journal, writing letters of thanks, even just taking a few moments each day to mentally list the things you're grateful for.
Those are all great tips. We've covered so many different angles of motivation already. What's next?
Well, we can't forget about another often overlooked aspect of motivation, our mood.
Mood. I mean, it makes sense that like a bad mood would totally kill your motivation, but can a good mood actually make you more productive?
It's true. Research has found a definite link between a positive mood and better work performance. And the great thing is, even small mood boosts can make a difference.
So those animal videos I watch are officially productive now. Just kidding. Sorta. What are some other easy ways to like lift your mood?
Well, the article has some great suggestions. Spending time in nature, watching those funny videos, listening to upbeat music, even just getting a bit of sunlight can do wonders. And of course, exercise is a classic mood booster.
Yeah, exercise for sure. And that ties right into our next point, switching things up. The article calls it the novelty effect.
Yeah. Our brains crave novelty. A change in scenery or routine can really help us approach tasks with a fresh perspective.
Oh, so instead of forcing yourself to study at your desk when you're feeling totally uninspired, maybe head to a library or a coffee shop. Or if you're working on a creative project, take it outside for a change of pace.
Exactly. It's about tapping into that natural curiosity and sense of exploration that our brains love. And finally, to wrap up this incredible motivation toolbox, we come to the most important point of all, remembering your why.
Oh, this is where things get deep.
It is. It's about going beyond the surface level of your goal and connecting back to the core values driving it. Why is this goal so important to you? What are the deeper reasons behind it? What will achieving this goal allow you to do or become?
I like that. And the Coursera article suggests a visualization technique to help with this, right?
Yes. Spending a few minutes each day visualizing yourself succeeding, really feeling those positive emotions associated with achieving your goal. It's about reminding yourself why you're on this journey in the first place and strengthening that connection to your deeper purpose.
This is some powerful stuff. It feels like we've uncovered a treasure trove of motivation secrets today.
We have covered a lot of ground.
So much good stuff.
It's important to remember, though, that motivation, it isn't a constant. It ebbs and flows. But with these strategies, you're equipped to ride those waves and keep moving forward.
That's so true. What stood out to you the most from everything we've talked about? What's one tip you're ready to put into action, like right now?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's the combination of setting small goals and celebrating those wins. It's so simple, yet so powerful. It's about creating that positive feedback loop that keeps you moving forward, even when faced with challenges.
Oh, I'm totally with you on that one. And I think the if-then habit building technique is a game changer. It just takes the guesswork out of forming those good habits. What about you?
I think the power of environment is often underestimated. We tend to think of motivation as something purely internal, but our surroundings play a huge role. Like a simple change of scenery can really shift your perspective and boost your energy.
I totally agree. And I love that reminder that even small mood boosts can have a big impact. Sometimes all it takes is a 5-minute break to watch a funny video or step outside for some fresh air to, reset your motivation.
Exactly. It's about being kind to ourselves, recognizing that we're not robots, and incorporating those little moments of joy into our day.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up part 1 of this deep dive, we've got a challenge for you.
Oh, I love a good challenge. What is it?
So we've talked a lot about the science of motivation, all the tips, the strategies, but now we want to make it personal. Think about a goal you're working towards right now, something that's really important to you. It could be anything, a personal project, a career ambition, a health goal. Got it.
Yes. I've got one in mind.
Great. Now take a moment to really connect with your why. Why is this goal so important to you? What are the deeper values behind it? And most importantly, how can you use the strategies we've discussed today to boost your motivation and stay on track? We'll dive back into this in part 2.
This is great. It's all about putting this knowledge into action.
Exactly. It's not enough to just understand the science. We have to apply it to our own lives. So, spend some time reflecting on your why and crafting a personalized motivation plan. We'll be back with part 2 soon. Welcome back. I hope you had some time to think about that goal you're working towards and those deeper values driving you.
It is exciting to think about all the possibilities, right?
Yeah.
We were just talking about how much of an impact our social circles can have on our individual motivation. But imagine scaling that up. What if, workplaces or even entire communities embraced these principles?
Pretty amazing thought.
Whoa.
What if workplaces helped employees, connect with their why instead of just setting deadlines?
Right. And it's not just about productivity. Think about how much happier people would be if their workplaces incorporated things like gratitude practices or mood boosting techniques.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just workplaces either. What if we taught kids about the science of motivation in school?
Oh, wow.
Gave them the tools to understand their own brains and set themselves up for success.
That would be revolutionary.
Right.
Imagine a generation growing up understanding how to, harness their motivation and bounce back from setbacks.
I love that vision. Okay, let's bring it back to our own personal motivation journeys for a sec. What resonated with you the most from all the research we've explored?
Ooh. For me, it was the combination of setting small goals and then celebrating those wins along the way. It's such a simple but powerful concept, creating that positive feedback loop that keeps you moving forward. What about you?
I'm totally with you on that one. I'm also a huge fan of the if-then habit building technique. It just takes all the guesswork out of forming good habits. What else stood out to you?
I think, people often underestimate the power of their environment. We tend to think of motivation as something purely internal, but our surroundings really play a huge role. Sometimes a simple change of scenery can make all the difference.
You're so right. And those little mood boosts, sometimes that's all it takes to, reset your motivation and get back on track.
For sure.
What insights kind of came up for you when you were thinking about your own goal?
I realized I was getting so caught up in thinking about all the potential obstacles, and it was actually holding me back from even getting started. But this deep dive has really helped me reframe my thinking. Now I see obstacles as opportunities for growth, puzzles to be solved.
I love that. It's like that saying, the obstacle is the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like you're ready to tackle those challenges head on.
I am. Thinking about the WOOP method, it's not about pretending those obstacles won't exist. It's about having a plan to navigate them.
That's such a good point. And for me, This whole conversation has been a reminder to be kinder to myself. I tend to like beat myself up when I, stumble or fall short of my goals.
Oh, we all do that.
Yeah,
But, remember, motivation isn't about being perfect. It's about progress. It's about having the tools and the support to keep moving forward.
it's about celebrating those small wins, acknowledging our effort, and being kind to ourselves throughout the process. What role do you think our support systems play in all this?
Oh, I think they're crucial. Surrounding yourself with people who, uplift and encourage you, it can make all the difference. Even just small gestures of support can go a long way.
Totally. It's like having like a cheerleading squad for your goals.
Yes.
We also talked about the importance of rewards. How do you plan to like celebrate your milestones, even the small ones?
Honestly, sometimes it's the simplest things that are the most rewarding, like a walk in nature or a few minutes with a good book. It's about finding those little joys that make the journey enjoyable.
You're so right. It's about taking care of yourself and like remembering why you're doing this in the first place. All right, we're nearing the end of part 2, but before we wrap up, I have one final challenge for you.
Another one. Bring it on.
So we've talked a lot about the science of motivation, but now it's time to put it all into action. I want you to think about that goal you chose earlier and start crafting a personalized motivation plan.
Ooh, I'm ready. I've got my notebook right here.
Perfect. Use everything we've discussed. Think about your why, the strategies that resonate with you, and even, ways to make the process more enjoyable.
Sounds good. It's exciting to think about putting all this knowledge into practice.
Exactly. It's not enough to just understand the science. We have to apply it to our own lives.
Right.
So take some time to work on your motivation plan, and in part 3, we'll come back together to share insights and inspiration for the journey ahead. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been on quite a journey exploring the ins and outs of motivation, and I hope you've had some time to really map out your personalized plan.
It's been a fun one.
I know, right?
We've covered so much ground, from the power of small wins to the importance of those mood boosting moments. It's all about, finding what works for you.
Exactly. So tell me, what kind of clicked for you while you were creating your plan? What are you most excited to try out?
I think what really solidified for me was the importance of self-compassion. We've talked about anticipating obstacles and having a plan.
Right.
But I realized I can be pretty hard on myself when things don't go, perfectly. And this whole deep dive has been a great reminder to celebrate the progress, not just the perfection.
That's such a great point. It's easy to get caught up in that all or nothing mentality, but motivation thrives on those small victories and acknowledging our efforts even when we, stumble.
Absolutely. And I think that's where the power of our support systems comes in. Having those people who cheer us on even when we're doubting ourselves, it can make all the difference. Did you have any aha moments while you were crafting your plan?
It sounds so basic, but for me, it was connecting back to my why. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and lose sight of the bigger picture. But taking the time to visualize myself achieving this goal and really feeling those positive emotions, it was a powerful reminder of why this matters to me.
Yeah, it's amazing how a simple visualization exercise can just reignite that fire, right? It helps us reconnect with those deeper values that are driving us. Did anything surprise you as you were putting your plan together?
I think I was surprised by how excited I got about incorporating some of the smaller, more fun elements.
Yeah.
Like planning those mini rewards and switching up my environment. I tend to just focus on the big picture stuff, but those little things can really add up and make the whole journey more enjoyable. What about you?
For me, it was remembering the power of just getting started.
Well,
we can spend so much time planning and overthinking that we end up procrastinating on the actual work. So for me, a big part of the plan is about taking action, even if it's, just a small step each day.
You're so right. It's like we talked about earlier, that initial resistance can be the biggest hurdle, but once you take that first step, the momentum starts to build.
Exactly. And remember, motivation isn't something that just happens to us. It's a skill we can cultivate and strengthen over time, The more we practice these strategies, the easier it becomes to tap into that inner drive.
So true. So as we wrap up this deep dive into motivation, we want to leave you with this final thought. You have everything you need to achieve your goals. The tools are here. The science is there to support you. Now it's about taking that knowledge and making it your own.
Remember, you're not alone on this journey. We all struggle with motivation at times. It's part of being human. But with the right tools and the right mindset, you can achieve amazing things.
Keep experimenting, keep learning, and keep chasing those dreams.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.